The Senate chamber was packed, cameras clicking from every corner, reporters ready to capture every word. The tension was electric, humming through the air like a live wire. All eyes were on the dais as Senator Mitt Romney adjusted his microphone, his expression sharp, calculated. Across from him sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, steady and composed, her hands folded neatly in front of her. Romney leaned forward, his tone cutting. "Congresswoman Crockett," he began, his voice measured but tinged with condescension, "with all due respect, do you really believe you have the experience required to address these issues at a national level? Many would say your background simply doesn't prepare you for the complexities we're facing." The question wasn't just a question, it was a challenge, the kind designed to undercut credibility in one swift stroke. A ripple of murmurs swept across the chamber. Some leaned forward in anticipation of her reply, others smirked, expecting her to stumble under the weight of the moment. But Jasmine Crockett did not flinch. She let the silence stretch, let Romney's words hang in the air until the chamber grew still again. Then she leaned in. "Senator Romney," she said calmly, her voice unwavering, "my experience is not measured by how long I've sat in a cushioned chair in Washington. My experience is measured by the nights I spent fighting for families who couldn't afford a lawyer. It's measured by the mothers I've stood beside in courtrooms, the workers I've defended, the communities I've walked with when the cameras weren't there." A hush fell over the room. Her words were not loud, but they carried weight. Romney adjusted his glasses, preparing to respond, but Jasmine pressed on. "You ask about experience. Let me tell you about experience. I know what it's like to grow up in a world where opportunity isn't guaranteed. I know what it's like to work twice as hard for half as much. And I know what it's like to stand up to systems that tell people like me to wait our turn, to stay quiet, to be grateful for scraps. That is my experience, and that experience is exactly what this country needs." The chamber grew restless. Some senators exchanged looks while others lowered their gaze, recognizing the power in her words. Romney, who had expected perhaps a rehearsed talking point or a shaky defense, suddenly found himself silent. For the first time in years, he was at a loss for words. He blinked, leaned back slightly, and the confidence he carried into the exchange seemed to slip away. But Jasmine wasn't finished. Her voice grew more passionate, her eyes sweeping across the chamber. "Experience is not just about years, it's about the lives you've touched, the struggles you've endured, and the courage you've shown in the face of adversity. Some people serve from a distance, I serve from the ground. And if you think that makes me less qualified, then maybe it's time we redefine what real leadership looks like." The crowd watching from the gallery erupted in applause, breaking the solemnity of the chamber. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously. For viewers at home, it was more than politics. It was a moment of truth, a moment when someone stood tall against the weight of doubt and dismissiveness. Romney tried to interject, but his voice faltered. His practiced composure was gone, replaced by a rare silence. All he could do was nod, his lips pressed thin as if conceding the unspoken truth. Jasmine Crockett had owned the moment. That night, clips of the exchange went viral. People shared it not because it was fiery, but because it was real. They saw a woman who refused to shrink herself, who turned an attempt to diminish her into a rallying cry for millions who had been told they were not enough. In the days that followed, conversations sparked across the country. In schools, in workplaces, in kitchens, people repeated Jasmine's words. "Experience is not just about years, it's about the lives you've touched." For many, it was a reminder that leadership doesn't belong only to the privileged or the seasoned insiders. It belongs to those who dare to carry the voices of the people, those who have walked through fire and still choose to stand. In the end, the story wasn't about Mitt Romney's question. It was about Jasmine Crockett's answer, an answer so powerful, so rooted in truth, that it left one of the most seasoned senators in Washington utterly speechless. And more importantly, it gave millions of ordinary people a reason to believe that their experiences, too, mattered.